Hey, everybody. This episode of Our Kids Play Hockey is brought to you by our title sponsor, NHL Sense Arena. Look, we all want our kids to succeed in hockey, but let's face it, finding training that's both effective and enjoyable can be a real challenge, and not to mention expensive and a total drain on time, especially if you have to drive to the rink, pay a private instructor. There's so many reasons that money gets spent on this game. But that's where NHL Sense Arena steps in. It's a virtual reality training game that brings the rink into your home that takes off-ice training to a new reality. It's designed to improve hockey sense and IQ, something that's lacking majorly in the game today for both players and goalies. And you get unlimited access to over 100 drills and training plans from top coaches and players that can be played anytime, anywhere, with drills approved by USA Hockey player and goalie development directors. Look, improving mental hockey skills at home has really never been more fun, and any hockey player that uses this is going to have a blast. All right. I've used this before on my own, and it feels like you're so immersed in an arena, you sometimes forget you have a headset on. And again, it's not being on the ice, but it allows you to work on some of these skill sets like scanning, as I said before, hockey IQ, looking around the rink, making the right plays, that getting those repetitions in now as a hockey player are super important for your development. So NHL Sense Arena is giving all the listeners an exclusive offer for $50 off an annual plan when you use our code Hockey Never Stops at checkout. Again, that's Hockey Never Stops. All you got to do is go to hockey.sensearena.com. Again, that's hockey.sensearena.com. Use the code Hockey Never Stops, and you'll save $50 on your annual plan of NHL Sense Arena. Make sure to check that out and enjoy this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. Oh man, it's April, which means the season is almost over, depending on when you're listening to this. So this is our annual season in review. It's a fun episode where Christy, Mike, and I kind of go through our own experiences and what we learned and what our kids learned. It's an interesting one because Christy's daughter is done hockey. She just graduated from college, Division I NCAA. Mike's kid's getting into high school and younger kid getting into hockey. And I just graduated one mite to find out I'm going to have another mite. And we're going to have a lot of good discussion about that in this episode. So make sure you stay tuned. And then a couple quick ones for you. Again, we have been nominated as the top hockey podcast of the year with the Sports Podcasting Awards, which is an incredible honor, selected by some pretty prestigious people. But as you know, as you've heard, it goes to a fan vote now. So if you're inclined and you really love what we do, we'd really appreciate your vote to help us try and get that top spot for the year. A link will accompany the episode. It's going to be really anywhere on social media. If you want to help us out with that. And also, it's the end of the season, like we said. So we know your kids might be doing other sports or maybe they're doing spring leagues, but off season is the time of year that you can do a lot of off-ice training. And one of our good friends of the show, Hockey Wraparound, I'm wearing it on my hat because I own the company. It does a lot of stuff with that. There's a discount on ourkidsplayhockey.com, pretty nice discount. If you want to head over to hockeywraparound.com and see our off-ice training tools that will keep your kids from destroying their hockey sticks on pavement or any rough surface, please check that out because this is the time of the year where these things go out the window. And we definitely move a lot of product, and we want to give you, the loyal listeners, a nice discount. So that's at ourkidsplayhockey.com. But without further ado, let's get you into the year in review episode with Mike, Christie, and I on Our Kids Play Hockey. Hello, hockey friends and families around the world, and welcome to another edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. It's every year we do it. It's our season in review. The three of us are going to go over our individual seasons with our kids, right? And we're going to talk about what went well, what didn't go well, what we're going to remember. Always an important episode for us because it takes the time for us to reflect on our year, which we encourage all of you to do as well. We did an episode a few weeks ago about maybe you should take a break. I know a lot of you play in Spring League, even though we said not to. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of you play in Spring League. So this episode should serve as that reminder just to take a few minutes and reflect on the season that was so you can move forward to the season that's going to be. And to start that off today, we are going to talk to our graduating senior, Christy Casciano Burns, who has concluded her life as a hockey mom in terms of active playership in her house. Christy, walk us through it.
Hey, well, the college years are changing. I have to tell you that. And I think the transfer portal is causing a lot of chaos with a lot of teams because what we saw over the 4 years is you like to see the teams grow and, the freshmen come in and the team stay together, but that's not happening anymore. Mm-hmm. They're jumping in the transfer portal. They're, going to other teams. You got kids coming and going all the time. So it's kind of hard to gauge how the team's going to progress because you never know when some of your key players are going to jump ship. So it's a different dynamic now.
For sure.
We were lucky because we had kids that the girls just gelled. They just loved each other. So even though they had some really rough patches during the season, every time they got out on the ice, you never saw that. You would think they were the winningest team in the league because of their grit and their attitude, which I loved. Honestly, I think the coaching could have been better. And I say that as a group of parents, not just as an individual parents, but as a group, we saw a lot of questionable coaching. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is I think they needed to freshen up some of the coaching staff. There's a coach there that's been there for a really long time. And the game has changed, the kids have changed, the game has changed. So I think that's something that they need to look at. And I'm saying that as a senior parent looking back the 4 years. I think some advice, if your kids are going through some difficult times, just constantly encourage them. They need to hear that positive voice, especially when it gets really rough. And they'll also figure it out like our girls did. They figured it out toward the end. They didn't make it all the way to the end for the playoffs, but they did make some history. They were first team in their league to score a victory against another team that was just impossible to beat. And we were really proud of them because, they made history. They've got some great memories. And so all in all, you learn, you continue, you constantly learn through the whole hockey. There's never a season that you don't learn something and take away some lessons. So, and that's the cool thing about hockey. As long as you have a passion and a love for the game and your kids love it, you'll get through it, even through the rough times.
Christy, you bring up a couple quick points I want to tap on. One was the coaching staff, not to stay focused on that, but for myself, one of the rules I have for myself is that when I don't have the passion to learn as a coach anymore, that's probably a sign for me that it's maybe time to step aside or stop. Right. Because I'm still very passionate about getting to know the kids and finding new ways to talk to kids or adults. And tactically, I'm very interested in that too. I read books about it. I think if that ever subsides, and again, I'm not talking about anybody specifically but myself right now, that should be a sign. So, or it's also a sign you're burnt out. Like that could also be, maybe you need a break.
Right. And we saw that just with our Syracuse University team. I don't know if you saw it, but Jim Boeheim, years and years and years of coaching, finally stepped aside. And I think a lot of that was, he was, it was time. Right. It was time. We weren't winning anymore. We didn't make the Sweet 16. We didn't even make the NIT. That's how bad it got. So, it was time for him to leave. And even though he's a much beloved coach, a lot of people saw that it was time. Right. So you have to recognize that.
I think also, too, that, there's always this dream that you want to go out on top. And I honestly don't believe people realize how rare. It's insanely rare. Yeah. I mean, it's rare enough to make it. Right. But to go out on top, like you have to be the right age on the right team at the right moment, and things really have to go your way. And I think if we all just take a moment and think about athletes who went out on top, I bet you can't even name 10. You know what I mean? Yeah. I bet you can't even name 10. You're absolutely
right. You got to know when it's time.
Right. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Right. I would say it's like the summation of your time as a player, or as a coach, that's really the gauge, not the last moment. Well, at least you hope it's not the last moment.
That's what makes these great people great, right? They don't think they're ever not going to be great. So I think your ego of how you can, whether you're Michael Jordan or Brett Favre or Tom Brady, we just saw so recently, or any of these athletes, Wayne Gretzky, they win and they're like, oh, I'm great. I am great. Like I can win again. Like, and I think that's what makes them great. Like, so, great. But again, I think on the coaching side though, sometimes it's, wow, am I reaching my athletes? Am I being creative and finding new ways to make sure I'm attuned to what my athletes' needs are? Do I understand, the dynamic of who athletes are nowadays, and communication, and there's so much that goes into it. And sometimes when you're in one place, you forget. I use the example a lot when I talk to rink owners. and they're looking at their own programming. I'm like, well, have you been in another rink? Like, have you been in another place in the last 25 years? Like, I've never been out of my rink. I can never leave here. I go, yeah, but you need to go somewhere else to go see what people are doing, so that you're not getting run over.
Imagine that.
Exactly. Boy, that is so true, Mike. Yeah.
Well, and the last point on this one too, because we do have to move on, but is that, I hear so many excuses. Well, the kids today are just so much softer. Look, whether that's true or not, you got to reflect back in, right? Of, well, what are you doing to get to the kids?
Mhm.
I mean, I know a lot of old school coaches, and to the credit, most of them are now understanding that this mental fitness, mental health, empathy is part of the game to a point. It's not give them whatever they want so they can move forward. It's, you have to understand how to deal with that. And Christie, again, reflecting on your season, it sounds like the coaching staff there maybe needs to get some work on that. Another question for you, Christie, I have to ask, I wrote this down.
Sure.
We did talk about you as a graduating parent a few episodes ago, but we didn't ask about Sophia, because it's done. It's done now. It's
Yeah.
a 2-year journey,
Right.
finished. So how is she dealing with this?
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah.
She's excited about the next chapter in her life. She got a lot of tools from hockey. I have to tell you, I think she's better equipped now to face the world and to take it on and to succeed. She's got a lot of really good strategies jumping into the working world now, and she's eager to get a paycheck.
Right.
She hasn't had a full-time job ever. She did a little part-time work last year as an internship, but she was always training. In hockey, when you're a college athlete, it's like having a second job. So when she wasn't in the rink, she was in the gym. So that was year round. And now she's looking forward to getting a job and seeing what she can do in this world. So yeah, I asked her, do you think you might, want to get back into it at some level? And she said, oh, maybe I'll do some learn to skate programs, or maybe coaching, or, jump on a girls team just to help them out. She said, but I want to make some money.
Right. Well, look,
Good for her.
both of your kids are extremely high performers and excellent people. And I have no doubt that the
Thank
parenting
you.
played a major role in that, but hockey probably helped out for some of those life skills.
Yeah. I think, and I've heard a couple of employers say this, is they love hiring kids who played hockey just because the work ethic is already there. So
Right.
that's kind of exciting.
Parents, we all need to hear that. Everybody listening needs to hear that. There's your ROI. Christie, I'll say this as a final note. I'm so thankful for you and Mike, but look, I preach all the time on this show about the ROI being life skills, and that, it's all about the full journey. But look, I'm not impervious to being a dad of a Mike going on squirt kid, and, having the stresses that come along with that. So it's always nice to talk to you, because you get these reminders of, my 9-year-old's going to be 19 one day, and then he'll be, out of college. And there is a path here in terms of life skills. And I'm so thankful to be grounded in that when I get like, oh, he's not doing this, he's not doing that, he's not learning this. It's a journey. It's a marathon. It is not a sprint.
It's a marathon, right? It's not a sprint. So now, just always remember that.
You did say that Sophia might do some learn to skate. Our friend Mike Benelli is in Ramapo right now at a try hockey for free, basically learn to play type deal. But Mike,
crazy.
It is. Mike does this show wherever he is. It could be Florida on the beach. It could be at a rink. I think I've seen you in your car once. I think that's happened. Mike is dedicated here. And like you said, Christie, hockey players make a good professional person. But like, let's talk about your season. You got multiple kids in the game. You look well. There's no beard. Still have all your hair. What are you doing that I'm not?
Yeah, well, I'm finding great assistant coaches. So I will say thank you to Todd Mancuso here at Roundpo. I've commandeered his office for this morning. We have 130 kids today, and then we'll have them all 5 days. We have introducing hockey to the Roundpo, New York School District. So these kids, this is unbelievable. These kids get to come here, try hockey. They do a little STEM program in the classroom. Then they go outside and they learn some movement skills and work, and then they go back to school. So it's been it'll be a fun week. But yeah, awesome. I'm excited.
How do we do that in the workplace? Can we have a try hockey for adults for free? Yeah.
Try. Hey, well, you want to come here and try being an administrator?
There
Go
you
ahead,
go.
because I
Can
will
you
lose my
imagine
hair.
telling
Come
your
back.
boss that one?
Let's see
Where are you
what kind
going?
of mood I am. Let's see what kind of mood I am on Thursday when the last of the 800 kids come through. But I think we had a great year. I think both my kids, both my kids had I think 2 different years. Right, my little guy came through his first year of really starting to look at like the travel level and really just moving out of what we call a rookie league or an in-house hockey. So that was a little different. I probably shelter my little guy a little bit more. Like he doesn't even know there's AAA hockey and high level hockey. He doesn't really understand that, only because I don't talk about it. Like I just shielding is the wrong word. I just don't think there's no rush for me to do that based off of who he is, and he's got a core group of kids that love going to the rink and getting on the ice. And if he says he wants to go to the rink, we go to the rink. So it makes it easy for me. My older guy had to finish his first year of playing high school hockey. Got a lot of ice time. Had a great experience. I forget. I coached high school hockey for 25 years, and I forgot a little bit about from the player's perspective. And I really forgot, like, oh my God, how bad was I as a high school coach to demand certain things I demanded out of kids? Like, no, you must be at practice. I know it's 8 inches of snow, but if you're not here for practice, you're not going to play. And the pressures we put on parents, that coaches put on parents, and I'm speaking as one of those that have done this, right? That there isn't a lot of wiggle room for things outside of hockey. And his coaches were great. They understood, like, he's going for his Eagle Scout, so he had plenty of time to get that kind of work done. And community service, I probably have him do more community service than most kids. So having the time to do all that, having understanding coaches and understanding administrators, that there's other things outside of the world of hockey, which I forget a lot, was really great. And getting the ice time, meeting new kids. The first time that my kids have been in a dynamic where they're with kids that are 3 or 4 years older, in the locker room together. So that's a much different dynamic. You have, once you get a kid that's playing high school, you're going from kids that are getting driven to school to kids that are, driving out at night at 11:30 at night and going out with their friends on the same team. And it's a really interesting dynamic, and one I think we'll dive into at some point. But as a parent, it's it's hard. It's not easy because you're a 14 and 15-year-old is not an 18-year-old, and they're in the locker room together, and they're seeing each other on social media, and they're seeing what the seniors are doing, and then the whole dynamics about what is hazing, what isn't hazing, what was hazing, and what isn't hazing now. Like, it's just different. We live in a different world. And I think, Chris, to your point about the coaching side of things and knowing players. I mean, our players now are much more educated and much more informed and have much more information to give. And as coaches, I think it's your obligation to understand that like what Lee was saying. I don't think they're softer. I think they're just different. It's a different way. They don't just take, like, oh, I was told to do this, I must do this. Like, it's just, as much as I would love that, I would, like, I told you to do this, but then you must do it. But it's like, okay, why do I have to do that? Or why are we playing that system? And not so much in a point of, like, questioning the coach. It's just inquiring about
curiosity.
Okay, I just need to understand, because I've been taught so many different ways, because I've been educated so much, that I just understand my role here and what I'm doing. So, but as far as in a nutshell, it's another hockey year. I think it went as well as it could go. Where there's some horror stories in the mix. Yeah, I don't want to say I'm used to it, but I also don't want to say it's hockey. It's in every walk of life. So I'm not going to blame hockey for any kind of outside the norm things that we encounter during the year. Listen, I have a problem with the way people merge. So I it's not hockey. It's just I think overall, though, when you look at the year and you say, okay, did my sons both progress? Did they love going to the rink? And did they want to go back? Check. And then we, start going for next year.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Christie.
No, that's great. You got to check those boxes. Those are important ones to look at and make sure that, when you evaluate your season, You know, did they grow? Did they learn? Did they have fun? Did they want to go back? If they don't want to go back, you need to reassess and figure out, well,
Right.
what's going on here? Is it the sport? Is it the team? You know, ask them, dive deep, find out what's going on.
Yeah, we have to remember there's more than one way to win, and winning the final game or winning the big championship is not the gauge on the whole season. It's a part of it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not saying it doesn't matter, but it's not the end of the world. You know, Mike said a funny thing about the kids being curious, and that's the word I think I want to use more, is kids are not afraid to be curious. Now, there is a line between being curious and being, you know, like, I don't want to do it. For example, when I say to my kids, go take a shower, there's no need to be curious. You're going to take a shower because I told you to take the shower. You know what I mean? Like, but on the rink, and I wish I could see this more, it's a drill. Well, what's that? Why are we doing that part of the drill? And I'll see it, you know, because I told you to. Kids asking because the kid's curious about knowing it. If the kid said, I don't want to do the drill, that's different. Right. So I think we need to be a little more in tune that kids are more curious. And from an emotional standpoint, this is where I think a lot of people miss the mark. They're a little more conscious to their feelings. And that was seen as weakness for a very long time. And it's not weakness to be in touch with, hey, I'm not feeling emotionally secure right now. Right. As a coach, we have to help them get there to a point. I'm talking about youth hockey right now.
Yeah, right. And it's not
even just youth hockey. Sorry, that goes beyond youth hockey. Yeah, my bad.
It's not insubordination. It's questioning. It's like, and it's not questioning like, I don't think you know what the hell you're talking about, coach. It's like, it's more like, wow, I understand why we want to do that, but you know, I've kind of been taught to do this sometimes, and I was wondering, like, what's the difference? Like, why would I go there instead of here? And then the coach should be able to say, well, you're going there because this is the way when we break out and we have a scheme that somebody understands, you're going to be there to protect that person. And then you're going to be in a place where you can move the puck to this person. Oh, okay. I just kind of had needed an idea of why that was. And I don't think us as coaches should be fearful of that. I think we should embrace that and want our players to want to ask and want to be involved and want to, dive into, what our philosophy is, because, an educated player can go back and discuss with an uneducated parent. And I see this all the time at the high school level. Like, if you looked at our season and say, oh my God, this team was, I'll just make up a number, whatever, 5-20 or something, whatever it was. I'm like, yeah, but as a parent, I might be like, oh my God, that team stinks. But as a coach, I'm like, oh my God, they lost 12 games by 1 goal. They lost 8 games, in the final 2 minutes of play. They lost 3 games when they didn't have like the one goaltender that was better than the other goaltender, and they just played him because the other goaltender needed an opportunity to play. Like, so you look at all these different aspects and you say, well, the season was a huge success based off of learning and getting better. And it's nothing you could do about those losses. But if you understood the context of the loss, like, I know it doesn't say, like in the record books, 5-20, but 10 close games. It doesn't say 5-20, but 18 were close. Like, I get that, but you as a parent have to see that as, okay, well, some tweaks here and some things we could have done here. And wow, and I say this all the time to my own kids, like if you're going to worry about like why you didn't score in the final minute of the play in a big game, well, ask yourself why you didn't score in the first minute of play in a big game. Like you need to understand the game is let's use 60 minutes as the example, and that the first minute is as important as the last minute. You're seeing it recently in the college hockey playoffs right now. I mean, teams that are, maybe they're blowing teams out. There's close games, like we lost the game. Like, yeah, but what did you do in the first 5 minutes that led to you losing in that final second? So again, I think I probably come at it from a different perspective because I'm not looking at it so much as a dad saying, oh God, we lost again. I'm looking at it as, oh, wow, that was a great game. Like, I can't believe how close we were to that team. Did you know they had a kid on that team that scored 50 goals this year and you guys didn't let him score any goals? So I don't know. I just look at it. I tend to look at it, but in the whole scheme of things, and sometimes I shouldn't. Sometimes I should say, listen, you're the win or you lose. You had a winning team or a losing team. I get that. But my own kids.
I like looking at the bigger picture. I think that gives you a better perspective of how your kids are doing and progressing when you look at the bigger picture.
How do you know? Yeah, you don't really know if you only base it off the 2-1 loss. you don't know if there's any. It's a loss. There's no progression. But in fact, there's many progressions in there. And I think people, it's just like, I used to laugh when I was playing adult league hockey, and like the leading goal scorer and their goalie wouldn't show up. They're like, oh, we're going to win this game. Finally, this is great. I'm like, well, do you want to win against a team that doesn't have all their players? Like, I don't like that. Like, that to me is not sporting. So in the high school level, it's like, oh, these 4 kids are going on their travel team tournament this weekend. So we got them when they're down. I'm like, well, I don't know. I don't know if that's even a true, like, that's not even a true win. Like, I want to beat them when they got all their horses. And so, but most of the parents that I'm with in the stands, they look at that as like, wow, what an opportunity to beat this team.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, did you really?
That's been said.
Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, but you didn't really beat the team. You beat the team that wasn't there. So I don't know.
Right.
I just like, but again, if you could,
But it
if
looks
it's
good on paper.
looks great on paper, and if it's for a playoff spot, I guess take it when you can get it. I think we're asking for too many Nancy Kerrigan incidents then if we do that. But I think it's just
it's a throwback, Mike.
Sorry. Yeah, I'm aging
That was
myself.
a dark time.
That was the early 90s, man. Come on.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just, if we want to, make sure players are injured before we play them in competition, I don't know if that's the right attitude.
Well, I think too that it's okay. This is where I get curious. Is it we want the win, or we just want the kids and ourselves to feel good about something? Because when you lose a lot of games in a row, it doesn't feel great, and you just want to feel the win. But I'm like you, Mike. Like, to me, it's almost like a quick fix, and it doesn't do much for me past the day. Yeah. I want to feel like we did something. And here's the thing: I have gotten that feeling losing, but given everything we've had, to a better team, right? That's possible. But a lot went on there this year, Mike, and that's I did want to say
that was only last month. That was just last month.
That was 1 month.
That was 1 month.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted to say, because you did talk about this with coaching, and I say this a lot to my students and to the people I coach: great questions demand great answers. If you're not asking great questions, you will not get great answers. Kids tend to ask really great questions. Yeah. They do. And you should be, in my opinion, as a coach, excited when a kid says, but why, what, like on the breakout, I wasn't taught this and I want to know why we're doing it. That's a great question. You shouldn't be upset that they're stopping practice for that. All right. And then adversely, players ask great questions, right? Don't just ask a question to ask a question. That's a great way to make your coach really upset, right? Ask a great question.
And don't open it up with, my dad said.
Oh yeah, that's always fun.
Like, don't do it that way.
My dad could beat up your dad.
My dad said that our breakout sucks, and I was wondering, can we try this? Because he said, and by the way, here's what he drew up. I'll email you the PDF of his breakout. No, but there's a way to ask, and there's a way to be inquisitive, and there's a way to be curious, and just train your kids. Like, listen, if you really have a problem, go talk to the coach. Say, hey, listen, this is something I was wondering about. I had a question about, and hopefully that coach says, yeah, let's talk about it. I love players that are engaged and involved.
Well, that's coaching.
And want to contribute.
But make sure they don't go, Mom and Dad told me to ask you.
Right.
Just
listen,
it's got to come from them.
My dad ranked the team 1 to 5 by player skill, and he thinks you should put all the best players on the first line and put the worst players on the fourth line. And we don't even have a fourth line.
Just in full disclosure, when you do that, don't share it with anybody. Just keep that in your own desk.
Yeah. Ever put it in the vault, delete it.
All right, it's your turn. Let's hear your assessment.
This was a weird year for me. So technically, this is my 3rd year in the youth progression, and it started out with just my son playing Mite as a skater, and I was content with that. And this thing completely, but lots of things started happening. I'm actually going to start. So first off, overall, fantastic year. Had another great group of parents and coaches, which, having played my whole life, I am always insanely thankful for. No drama at all, not any drama, and anything considered drama was not. You know what I mean? It was like a blip. So great parents and great coaches, great kids all around. I'm going to start though around probably late in last year, sometime probably October, November, with my daughter. Because now I am a 2-kid hockey parent, which was a fun change of we doing this twice as much. But she started in Learn to Play at a local rink, picked it up pretty well. And then about halfway through the season, the actual season, we put her in the Adams program, She did pretty well. And then she's just concluded her mite evaluation. So I have another mite suddenly. And I did have that moment, both of you were like, but I just got done with one. I don't want to do it again. And so she, I'll tell you, this was a really interesting thing, guys, because there was a discussion with me and another coach I really respect about should we put her in Adams for another year, right? Because she's kind of fringe, right? She's good enough, but she's a little fringe on being a mite. And I talked to her about it, and she said really some smart things. She goes, "Well, I really want to skate with my friends. I really want to play with my friends next year." And her friends are the similar skill level as her. So I said, "Okay." And then she said to me, "I want to be on a team." And I go, "Okay, you're saying these interesting things here." And then she said this to me, and this is how much my daughter gets me. She goes, "And I want you to coach me in the summer to make me better."
Oh,
right between the
how
heart.
sweet.
I was like, "You can do whatever you want. Oh, you can be a mite
Oh,
next
she
year."
gotcha.
So we put her in the mite evals, and I'll tell you what, she held her own. After seeing her there, I was like, this will be a good gauge for me to see her. And she was fine. Like, I mean, she's not gonna make a top team, and that's fine too. I don't really care, right? The point is she's good enough to make a team. She's gonna be on a team with her friends, most likely. And next year I'll be starting mite again. And it's funny because I told the coach, there's a reason I'm not saying any names, but I told the coach, I said, "Look, if you coach that team, I will help you out, and I will do the team building again, and I will be on the bench." And because I did that for my son, and I want to make sure that unless my daughter doesn't want me there for whatever reason, that she knows I'm doing this for you as well. I don't want them to think that I'm picking and choosing. So Alina is a mite going into next season. She went from not having really skated to a mite hockey player in about 6 months, which is pretty amazing when you think about it. I'm very proud of her. Last story on her. I wanted to say this. She had her first ever game recently. And it's funny because every parent wants that wonderful moment where they get on the ice in the first game and they score a goal and they come off the ice and go, "Daddy, I love hockey so much. I want to play." That didn't happen. It was a disaster. It was a complete nightmare. Let me tell you what happened.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it was the exact opposite. So she's on the ice, and a little bit of focus issues in the beginning because she never played. So we had to kind of be like, "Hey, you got to focus on the puck. You can't go in the corner and pick up the snowballs. It's the cutest thing in the world, right?" And then I saw her skating. She was going really fast. I'm like, "All right, here we go. This is it. She's gonna get it." And she fell down and she got hit with the puck in the arm. She doesn't have a lot of padding. And I saw her look at me, and I saw the lips on the side start to go down. I said, "Oh no!" And then just starts crying on the ice. And it's again, not much anxiety. It's just like, it sucks. The coach I was talking about went on the ice and sat with her for, I'm not kidding, about 5 minutes on the ice, discussed. It was a long time when you think about it. And he finally convinced her to get up and come off the ice. And I'll tell you, even I was like, "Come on, get up, let's go." But he spent the time with her and talked with her. And he said, "I know that must hurt." And they got off the ice and she wouldn't go back out. Now, this is where it turns. That was not what I was hoping for in any way. But the next day, she got up there. She went out in practice. They had a scrimmage. She got an assist. The next day, she had evaluations. She got up. She got an assist. She just kept getting back up and going and going and going.
Right.
I did give her my son's elbow pads, which I think gave her some confidence. But the point is, she got back up and kept going. And I told her that is what I'm most proud of, is that you got hurt. You had a moment that you probably didn't want to do anything with hockey ever again in that moment as a 6-year-old. And you didn't let it stop you. In fact, you were pretty dominant today in terms of how your effort was. So that was a pretty awesome turnaround. I wanted to tell that story because,
I love that story.
Yeah, rise from her ashes a little bit. But
and you didn't yell and say, "There's no crying in hockey."
No, there was definitely crying in hockey that day. But look, I'm proud of her for having the determination to get up and keep going. I think
that's so cool.
I think we underestimate that sometimes, especially in the youth levels, that, kid gets hurt and keeps going. You get hurt, we can't get out of bed.
Yeah.
So
well, that's sport, right? That's what we teach every day. That's the whole reason we get up and go out and do this, because that you can't learn a lot of those things in other places. Like, it's hard to learn failure in other things that you do. Like, it's just hard. Like, it's just a different, because it's so physical. It's like, okay, I physically can't stand up. Oh, now you're standing up. I physically can't walk across the ice. Oh, look, you're walking across the ice.
Right.
Like, I physically can't ever score. I'll never be a goal scorer. I'll never score. Oh, I scored. Like, even if you have to, even if you're a coach and you're good at this, like, you manufacture that, you find a way to make that happen. And for a kid, that now mom's on Facebook and the grandparents saw the video and everybody's happy and everybody's getting positive reinforcement. There's very few things that we can give our kids in life outside of sport that allows us to kind of use those building blocks. And that's what's so cool about it. I mean, and us as parents, and that's the reason why, frankly, that's the reason why there's mini nets and light blue pucks and smaller rinks, and you're not on Yankee Stadium throwing a ball off home plate as a 5-year-old and trying to hit and try to hit a strike. You're trying to put the kids in places where they can be successful and find success, even if you have to fake the success, because that's where the benefit happens. That's where the energy happens. Like, there'll be plenty of time in life to fight, right, and claw your way out. But when you're young, you got to find victories. And if we can if we can make sure they're like, I know I love doing this to the little kids, where I know I can make them fail. Even if I think they're good at something, I go, no, that wasn't it. You failed at that. I didn't fail at that. No, you kind of did. And go, no, I didn't. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you I didn't fail that. And next thing you know, they build and build and build, and then you work on the next core skill. But I think with your daughter, and I see this every day. I mean, I work with hundreds and hundreds of kids every week. That is the victory. The victory is
huge.
Is overcoming the adversity, and it's just difficult to do that in other pieces of life.
Well, and we celebrated it. We celebrated that she did that, because I want her to know that was the victory. And
Awesome.
I remember when she got hit with the puck, she said, "I didn't know that was going to happen." It's like so cute.
You can tell her Sophia has a name for all her bruises, so that she can start naming them.
Yeah, that's actually a good advice. I mean, no, it was funny because even Logan was like,
"This one's Bruce, and this one's Addie, and this one's."
She hasn't named any of them Christie, right? No, she hasn't named after you or your son. But no, it was cool. We got her the newer elbow pads, and she was very confident. So that was her year. Mike, that was an extremely good monologue you had right there. I'm not kidding. That's going to be a mini clip.
Yeah, that was great. Good reminder, especially parents just starting out with their kids in hockey.
Yeah. Well, and again,
or have kids playing for years and years. I mean, we have to. Right. I don't know. I just think there's ways you can build positive results, right? That you can, and if your kids are really good at something, then you got to find a way to get them to fail, because they're not going to be really good at it forever. And maybe they will be. I don't know.
But they're still going to face adversity. There's no way around it.
So the more you can have them face adversity without them getting hit by a truck, that's the goal, right? I mean, like let's
let them get hit by a truck.
Right. Like, okay, let's do something where we don't have an extreme. Like, I don't mind a kid. Like, I don't mind goalies getting hurt a little bit and be like, hey, this is what happens. Goalies are going to get hurt. Like that's going to sting, or that's like, you don't want to break the kid's arm, but you want them to know, like, ooh, you got to overcome that. That's just that's just pain. Pain's temporary.
I'm going to,
you're not hurt. You're not hurt. You're just a little pain.
I used to love teaching overspeed training, Mike. And for those who don't know what that is, it's making a athlete skate as fast as they can until they fail, until they fall down, because it helps them understand their limits. And the fall down helps you gauge how good you are. The failure helps you gauge. So I used to love doing that. But yeah, I think you're right, Mike, is that putting your kids in a position to fail safely so you can build them up. I mean, what's funny, Mike, you're making me think about this too. I'm old enough now that I have seen kids I've coached go from very young all the way through to high school and college now. And I can't tell you how many parents I remember their parents when I was younger saying, my kid sucks, he can't even skate. And then that kid ends up being captain of the high school team, 12 years later. You just don't know. So again, my daughter's skill level is irrelevant to me, right? What's relevant to me is, wow, she got back up and she understood that she can do this. And that's a life lesson I would love for her to have at 6. Now, speaking of that,
back up as she got back in the game.
Let's talk about other ways of getting back up with my son this year. So when the year started out, Christie, you like this. I remember the last summer league game, he said, can I try goalie? I said, yeah, go get in that so you can try. I don't want you to try it.
That was your first mistake.
Well, he seemed excited. He seemed very excited about it. All right. And he jumped in net, and I'll just say he looked like a kid who had never played goalie before. All right. And he came off. He's that was awesome. I was like, yeah, that was great, but okay, let's get on the ice and start skating. So the season starts. Team has no goalie. All right. So as they're supposed to do, they start rotating the goalie. Right. And the team's doing okay. We're progressing pretty normally. It's a pretty normal mite team. And then it becomes Logan's turn to play goalie, right? And we got raggedy old pads, and he jumps in net, and the kid sports a shutout, which I'm like, that's not good for me, right?
You're in
So,
trouble.
well, he loved it. He really enjoyed it. And I remember I've talked about this a few times on the show that he did pretty well. Next couple times he played, like it was still rotating, did all right, winning the games. And I told my wife, because I'm seeing this trending towards goaltending. I'm telling my wife, here's how we're gonna know. Because I'm gonna say this again, he was very excited and very happy to a level I had never seen him before in the game. And if you remember last year, I often questioned, I don't know if he loves this. I know he likes it, but I was starting to see this develop. And I said to my wife, here's what's gonna happen. At some point, he's gonna get pumped. We're gonna lose 15-0.
Right.
That's how we'll know. And it happened. And I remember I said, okay, do you still want to be a goalie? And it was no hesitation. Yeah. When do I get back in net again? And that's when I started to realize
this is real.
This has happened, right? So slowly over the next couple months, because we were still rotating, he was getting in net more and more. It kind of came down to 2 kids. The other kid's a great kid as well. He still wants to play goalie, but we got Logan some secondhand pads for super affordable price. It wasn't hard. And my attitude was, if he doesn't take this, we'll donate him back. And he started playing goalie every game. And this is where I want to talk about the life lessons again, because he learned for the first time, okay, I have to work at this. I have to get better at certain things here. And we've talked about this, Mike, you and I, on several episodes too with Christie, that, at that age, the net's big. It's a big net and you're going to get scored on. And I noticed about 3/4 through the season that he was starting to have some challenges getting scored on if there was a lot of goals against. And he was starting to kind of get a little dramatic or really frustrated. I mean, they were all legit emotions, but I'm talking about, like, how 9-year-olds throw their heads back. And this is where I'm really proud of my son, is we had a conversation about that, about the mental side of it. Now, most of I'm a mental performance coach. I'm a team building coach. So this is kind of almost scary for me as his father, because, like, this is what I do. So I sat him down and I said, look, Logan, here's the deal. I said, if you want to be in that position, you have to be working on your mentality and your mental side of the game, or you can't play that position. And I was pretty adamant about that last part. I said, you do not need to be perfect, but I need to see that you're working on it. Right. And he understood, and he took that on. And slowly but surely, I noticed him starting to understand, okay, a goal has gone in. What do I do? And the progression of that was, I used to say to him, what happens when the puck goes in the net? At first he was saying, well, it doesn't matter. I said, no, it matters. It matters if it goes in. But what are we going to do about it? He goes, well, I just have to let it go. And I said, yeah. And I told him, and we've had a lot of great goalie episodes. I said, you have 10 seconds. You got 3 seconds to be mad or frustrated. I said, it's okay to feel that. I'm not going to tell you not to be upset if the puck goes in the net, especially at his age. You have 3 seconds to be frustrated. You have 3 seconds to review in your mind maybe what happened and what you should have done differently. And then you have 3 seconds to calm yourself down. And then you have 1 second and the puck drops. Right. And he's started to subscribe to that. Now what's cool, the team itself got better. We won a tournament in Ocean City, Maryland, which was huge for the kids. That was usually the highlight of the year. The team building I did with the kids. Let me tell you about this. I do a lot of 2-minute meditative type things, which is hard for adults. And when I started with the kids this year, as you can imagine, they're very distracted, and I've really learned to be patient. But just to give everybody an idea, I would ask these kids to close their eyes and breathe or listen for a few minutes. And I want you to think about your own kids, how long they could do that for. By the end of the year, I would say, close your eyes, and they would just do it. And they were right on top of it. Thus proving again that children can learn these basic exercises to get themselves focused and calm and ready to go, which is a mission of mine. Right. But these kids did it. And this is what I'm proud of with the kids. And I'm going to tell you how this kind of ended up. We were kind of promoted to the A division of this last tournament we had, which I'm going to be very honest. We should not have been in that division. Now my attitude was this, but we are in that division and we're going to face it. And everyone's bitter. This is a situation we know we're not going to win a game. All right. And this is what I'm proud of. The 3 games we played, I will just say we're not close in any way. We were never in the game. These kids never gave up, ever. And I'm telling you, everybody listening, there were plenty of times to give up. All right. We're talking high double digit scores. They never quit. And they were smiling after the game. They weren't happy all the time, but they were smiling. And then after the last game we played yesterday as a team, and got pumped. They were happy. They wanted to work hard. They never quit. We had a party afterwards, and they were all hugging and holding each other and happy. That's the point. That's a success. That's a win. All right. Yep. It's not the way I wanted to end. I want to win, losing 3 games in a load of greater teams, but they were together. They were singing together. They were doing things together. You can tell they're sad when they're leaving. That's the win. Right. So I'm very proud of that. And just to lighten the mood here a little bit, we only have a few minutes left. We talk about coaches' gifts all the time. I got some coaches' gifts I want to share with you. And you guys are going to love these because they're going to make you laugh. So the first one's actually pretty cool. For those of you who can't see, it's an engraved puck. It says Coach Lee Elias and the team name. And what I love about this puck is on the back, they put all the players' names, all the coaches' names. And then I really was proud of this, taken away by this. They put as team building coach. And that was my name next to that one, which is really cool to me. That's what I am. And again, I've mentioned this. I took a step away from the ice this year and primarily just did team building, right? I think I was on the ice one time this whole season with them and maybe on the bench 4 or 5 times. So I really took a break from that side of it. Now, the next thing that they gave me, I was not expecting, and you guys are going to love these. They had all the kids fill out these questionnaires about their coach. Right.
Oh, so, no.
Yeah. They asked for parent feedback. They asked the kids for feedback. And I just started a few items here. I won't say any names, but the first question here, they ask, how old do you think the coach is? And I'm proud to say I have about an average age of 40, except for one here. It says I'm 63 million years old, whatever that means. But I didn't, you know how you kind of take away the top score and the bottom score. I'm about 40 on here, which is.
Well, you did roam with the dinosaurs, didn't you?
Well, yeah. I coach a lot of dinosaurs to be better coaches, but you know who you are. Right. Here's the few ones I want to go. So one of the questions they ask is, he always says, right? And this is what I love. One of the answers is that the score is 0-0. I love this because this is something I implemented, which was no matter what the score is, it's always 0-0 in your head. And whether we were losing 25-0 or winning 9-3, the score was always 0-0, and they knew to say that. I love that one. He always says you got to focus on the game, keep trying. One of them says, "Look at me in the eyes," because I'm very like, you need to look me in the eye when you're speaking to me. Yeah. That was good. And then what's the score? I got 2 of those. Another one I got. My favorite thing about Coach Lee is, right, which I thought was a really. I took these really seriously. Right, he does activities with us that he does with the older kids. So because I do the same team building exercises, a little bit more abbreviated, they love that I did the same work with them that I do with the pro players, which is true, right? Because it really transcends age. So I thought that was special. This one hit me harder than I thought it would. It said, my favorite thing about Coach Lee is he's nice and kind. That's a good, so for a kid to say that, and he wrote that, you know what I mean? Doing off ice was another answer. He helped us become a better team. He helped us build trust in each other, right? This is how I know I'm doing my job, right? So
that's awesome.
That last one, these are good. These are good. It says the last question was, Coach Lee is the best because they're prompted pretty nicely, to be fair. He teaches us and he's kind. Another one. He tells us the strategy for the game. The head coach is listening. Don't worry, that's not a reflection on you. He helped us learn. He's nice. I love this. He helped us all become friends with each other, besides just teammates. These are 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds writing this. And then this is good
job.
This one right here. And this person said I was 36, which I really appreciate. Coach Lee is the best because he believes in us.
Oh,
these are special. Yeah, I'm looking
awesome.
at these. One person thought I was 30, Mike. I'll take that.
I'm sure Mike gets lots of reviews like that too. He's warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, Coach Mike is the best because of his podcast.
I don't get any of that.
No,
that's okay.
All right. I know we're short on time today. Yeah, so
that's awesome.
Thank you. I wanted to share these because the kids took the time to do them, and I wanted to share them because Mike teams, this is a great idea to have your kids fill out these little questionnaires about their coaches. Because here's the deal. Obviously, the parents rank us too, which is very important. It's very important as part of the process. But I love that they ask the kids to do this. All right. And, I'll be honest with you, if they were bad, I would have wanted to see them too.
Hopefully, yeah.
Sure.
You know, so, but they're not bad. They're good. So I'll take that. But that's the season in review. Logan graduating to Squirt, going to be a goalie full time.
Whoa.
That happened. Alina's, I just got out of the Mike journey and I'm going to start it again.
It's okay. It's okay. It's fun. It's fun.
I'll sleep sometime in the 30s. That's how I'm going to look at it.
Sleep's overrated.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll live with that. All right, friends, thanks for sharing your years and reviews. Any final words before I close this up?
Yeah.
No, I'm good. I mean, I
love that year in review with the kids. I think every team should pick that up because it's important to hear their voices as well as what
at any
what
age.
Yeah.
At any age.
I agree.
Well, that's like, you know, coaching 101, right? If you have to have an exit interview, you know, your players, you should have one. Your players should have an exit interview with you too. And
right.
I think at the youth level, it's great to get the perspective. And you know, the people that really never want these are the ones that know they did a horrendous job. So, you know, I think if you've done a good job, you want to get that positive reinforcement. You also want to find out, you know, who didn't I reach and you know, who didn't I, you know, maybe get this message through to, and then how can I get it through to them next time? And I think it's a great lesson, you know, for organizations that you could be that proactive and you know, really you know, get the parents to express themselves in a positive way. I mean, they could have bashed you on there too, but I mean, really, it's like, okay, let me think about it and let me think about let me really, when it's all said and done, my kid had a great experience. Like, and this is after they did these exit interviews after you guys got, you know, pounded up pretty good. So that's even better.
Yeah. And parents were really complimentary too. And
yeah, it's awesome.
Mike, you remind me, like, again, when I coached college, I used to do exit interviews and I used to put a whole packet together of their answers. And some of them I let them do obviously away from us just because I wanted them to be honest.
Right.
But I took those, I read through them. I wanted to learn. I wanted to be better. Never a time not to do that. So this has been a wonderful episode. Again, this is kind of the conclusion of the 22-23 season from a standpoint of our kids. But the seasons of Our Kids Play Hockey will continue well into the year and into the summer. We have a lot of great guests coming up, a lot more episodes of Our Kids Play Goalie. For all of you that are listening, excuse me, it's the end of the season for you too. So we hope you had a wonderful season, but just remember, we know sometimes that's not the way it is. We know sometimes it's challenging. Just remember, as we said all the way back at the beginning of the episode when Christy was answering, this is a marathon. It's not a sprint. There is no one day or 1 year of your journey that's going to define the entire journey, right? And as parents, we have to walk that journey with our kids together. And I want you all to know you're doing a great job. Because if you're listening to this show, it's not just the show. We know you care and you're doing a great job. All right. So whether it was a tough year or a great year, you're doing a great job. We believe in you with that. And we want to thank you again for sticking with us the whole season. And please continue to listen in the summer because we're not going anywhere. I got 12 more years of this. 12 more years of this. Okay. We got to figure it out. On season 15 of this show, we'll revamp it. But for now, I appreciate all you staying with us. That's going to do it for this episode of Our Kids Play Hockey. For Christy Casciano Burns and Mike Benelli, I'm Lee Elias. Remember, you can get all the episodes at OurKidsPlayHockey.com. Your reviews are appreciated. Your shares are appreciated. You are appreciated. Have a wonderful week, everybody. We'll see you next time. We hope you enjoyed this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey. Make sure to like and subscribe right now if you found value wherever you're listening, whether it's a podcast network, a social media network, or our website, OurKidsPlayHockey.com. Also, make sure to check out our children's book, When Hockey Stops, at WhenHockeyStops.com. It's a book that helps children deal with adversity in the game and in life. We're very proud of it. But thanks so much for listening to this edition of Our Kids Play Hockey, and we'll see you on the next episode.